Today, I thought it was time we started tearing stuff apart and seeing what their guts are made out of and what we can do with them. So, I've got some of the starts going. I've got myself a cup of coffee. So we're going to look at the mixer first, because it might be the biggest challenge of everything. The case, yes, but I think the case has more room than what we need. Challenger, or the mixer, is going to be a specific kind of challenge. I don't know if I'm going to be able to cut it into the two pieces that I want. So we'll start off by taking the screws out and taking our time with it. And I do have the right size bit for the screws, because you always use the right size tool for what you're working on. If you don't use the right size tool for what you're working on, then you can hurt the work or the tool or both, and that's not good. So, and if you don't know, then I have multiple bits. Got a selection. So I went through and found the one that fit the best and gave me the least wiggle. And we'll start taking the screws out. Okay, I'm just giving it little test pulls to see if there's anything else holding it in place. I don't want to break anything, just in case. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going with screws, just making sure I don't over tweak anything. There's even different size screw heads here, so I know that one's not going to fit. Actually, that one does fit. Alright, now let's see if that helped the sides out. Yep, they come right off. It looks like this is a frequent. Yep, cool. Set that to the side. So it is all one piece under there. One piece. So what are we going to do? And yeah, that's full surface mounted PCB soldering and ground planing and everything. Double sided, there's no way. The idea would be at this point would be to just break these mechanical connections, desolder them from the board, and then resolder them like on this side and run each one out individually for every plug that's on the surface right there. All of these. That would be a chore. That would leave me the gains up on the top. Okay. Well, that's what I wanted to see was, what kind of Oh boy, what kind of step I'm taking off into the abyss by doing this level of stuff. So yeah, it looks like I'm not just cutting it up, remounting it. It's not going to be that easy. But we'll think about it. We'll see what's going to happen. That's probably going to be the course I take, since each of these is just going to be 3 connections each. This is one of those deals where I'll have to go get a tool. I'll get a good desoldering pump, or a solder pump, or desoldering iron as they call them. So I'll get one of those and see about breaking every single one of these pieces off. But luckily they do have their own, surface mount. Well, not the XLRs. Yeah, they do actually. See those screws? So I will be able to physically pop them out. It's just going to be arduous. That's all. Just arduous. But I knew it was going to be a challenge when I started. So, okay. So that's the news. I'm going to throw this together real quick, and then we'll start looking at the case. I think I want to take a look at the power supply and if it can be remounted or even torn apart itself. So we'll throw this back together, and I'll be back with you. Power supply in its standard mounting spot up here on top, and there is a good amount of room here, and there are multiple things we could think about. Just bringing this down to where it's almost to the top of the stock cooler is actually something I was just going to look at today, see what the mounting holes even look like, because there's 2 holes that just quite don't make it as far as how they're set up. But either way, we'll look at what it might be to move the mounting position of power supply. I'm gonna take it out, and we're gonna just fiddle with it. Also, I might fiddle with taking the outside cover off and the fans to see what kind of room we'll get if we air cool the thing outside of its case. Think we can do that with the way it's framed and still leave the mounting holes at the back. I'm not going to be cutting anything today, just looking at what teardown might entail, or what tools or hardware I might need to get for my first trip. So yeah, we'll pop that out real quick and see what's going on. Yeah, I did remove all the little side panels and loud noise making things, clankety clank. Just so we could get a good look at everything. That's what the other side looks like, and the hard drive cage is riveted in as part of the case, but that's nothing a Dremel won't take care of real quick. Then we got that. So there's a good amount of room. We have the audio card here, which honestly could conceivably go with the USB mixer working the way it is. I mean, it'd be nice to have another audio option, but we'll see what's. I'm not going to speak ahead of myself, so let's just see what we can do here. Well, it looks to me like there's some fundamental screws. And then just little like punch-ins kind of hold it in place. So I don't know. Yeah, so it looks like they dropped the shell down onto a frame and then divoted it in so it would stay in place, and then it's screwed. start unscrewing it and see if I can't get some more knowledge here. It's for science, for science. The fan is wire tied in with the rest of the bundle, so that gives me a good look at it. And yeah, as you can see, I can save lots and lots of room in there. Knocking that down. Oh, yeah, that was a camp can opener. So yeah, so the profile loses about ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch almost. Okay. Then maybe I could repurpose this fan, put it somewhere else. But so as you can see, the case itself comes with two nice big fans there, and the BIOS does have control of them, so I can set those to any kind of speed. I can even set them to temperature reactive profile, so that's no problem. And that's lots of air movement. We could even conceivably, if necessary, get another low profile cooler, which basically spreads it out, and it'll be larger in diameter but shorter in profile. So I'll just give you the eye of what I'm looking at. I'm thinking about all this room in here in the case. I could potentially even get rid of it all. I'm thinking about whether or not I could drop the whole top of the case down, because after removing these cages up here, it's really nothing but thin infrastructure. It is infrastructure nonetheless. So that's where the strength of the case comes from. I would have to make a new top completely, and basically have to make my own new posts, figure out something as far as actual integrity, or the physical strength of it, because there's no way I could just chop 3 inches off of the top of this thing and it would hold together physically. It would need to be reinforced across the top again. But I'm already looking at making a whole custom top anyway for the mixer. Yeah, so I think as far as back front, which direction it's pointing, it has to go. Is it that way or the other way? That's why I need to bring the power supply down. But anyway, pretty sure it's going to be oriented as such, with the buttons in this direction, and that's where the keyboard and other stuff will be. Although I had thought it would be handy to have the keyboard and everything else over here, because then you have your USB and regular headphone jacks. Not that we'll be using those much, because this has its own. Well, let's keep that open as a possibility. Oh, I've already scratched the crap out of the top, but it doesn't matter because we're covering it. So if I lower the power supply, let's assume I'm not cutting the top off of this. I would still have to lower the power supply just to get this thing flush-ish. So I would need some clearance underneath. I'm still going to need room for cables and things of that nature. right now, let's work with the idea that we're just cutting holes in the top here. There's no problem for clearance on this side with, you know, if I needed to pull everything off over here and bring it over here, there's no problem. There's nothing in the way. You've got 3 inches in, but you know, the whole width of the mixer from front to back. Yeah, that's where the power supply would start, over there. Okay, the whole reason I want to cut this off and break these off onto the other side of the computer is one simple reason, and that's the screen. So I want the screen to be on top, you know, be on top of the machine and fold down. And that's what I had envisioned. Now, imagine the screen being here, or even higher, and you've got microphone cables and guitar cables and audio cables, and it's all in front of the screen here. So, at the end of the day, it might be worth my while to rethink how the screen mounts versus trying to tear this thing asunder by its, you know, components up here, because that's a ridiculous number of things to try to move. You know, and I'd still want to be picky about it. Like the phones I would want on the front, and or at least where they are up here on the top, at least have them on top. Thumpity thump, make some crazy noise. Now, what if we put that here, you know, hinged higher? You'd still have to reach behind it to try to get to your gain on the mic. And that's the first place you go to change your levels, is your gain. Okay, so maybe we think about some kind of super sci-fi kind of system. In no way do I want the screen to be exposed for travel. So I don't want to have it so that it folds out in any way with the screen out while it's traveling. I want the back, the protected, going to be recovered in something else. Yeah, there's no way I'm leaving the screen out. So it will be hugging up against the case in some fashion. So there's the top method, and we deal with having the plugs in the way. There's some kind of rear, where it slides up into place, and then it can be high enough that it doesn't matter. And you could even have it, you know, no matter where you're at. If you're up on something tall, you could angle it anywhere you want. You still have that ability no matter what. Well, there's like a flip option, maybe. So if that were pushed about as far back as we could hope to get it, I'd still have to reposition that USB, but that's no problem, comparatively anyway. But then I could have the screen. Nope, it's still, nope, there's no way. Because if I put it in front, you can't reach the knobs. That's just dumb. Okay, now here, let's think about, what if they were at an angle? What if, say, from profile, this were sunk in? I know that screws off the power supply, but honestly, we can put the power supply anywhere the hell we want. Conceivably. I mean, that's not a lot of stuff. We could mount that anywhere. We could even think about removing, you know, we could replace the fans. Not replace them, but, you know, relocate them. That's what I'm trying to say. We could relocate those fans. We could get other fans. We could get smaller fans. All of this is up in the air. But what if it, like, was recessed down? You know, something like that. And that way you have full control. And the wires wouldn't be in the way. You'd have them laced off to the side somewhere. So what if that were down at an angle like that? How low can you go? How low can you go? Oh my God, look at that. That could be up under that lip. So yeah. Ugh. So if it weren't for this little lip right here, I could probably even just set it on top of the I/O frame. And that still leaves us the thickness of my hand, which is, yeah, almost 3/4 of an inch between the CPU and the power supply and everything else. So that's an idea. We'd really have to increase the lateral airflow. So I saw that power supply came, yeah, at the top of it came to here. So I mean, that's how far we could get away with having this ramped to. So we could have it at like that angle, which I think would be just gorgeous. All right, so that's really that's an idea I'm liking more and more. So anyway, that's where I think she'll sit for now. All right, something we didn't look at was the monitor here. And it does have VESA mounts, but that's part of how it's natively mounted. So let's just, yeah, let's take a quick peek at that. Why not? We're just gonna borrow the roommate's shirt that he apparently has left out for just such purposes. Let's just pop this off the back. So that all comes off in one easy payment. That's it. We could think about... No, there's no point in messing with it. It's shallow enough for what I want. And there's a nice metal backplate back here for the mounting. So I'm going to leave that and maybe even take advantage of it. Maybe we'll fill this in or do something else with it when we cover it all in our amp cloth. So, alright, I'll just put that back together. So that was it. That's the monitor. Okay, so that's where we're at. It's just my brain now has lots to cook on. I'm gonna cook it. We're cooking. We're baking with knowledge. Alright. We'll see you next time.